Hello and good morning. Let's take a look at today's bell work. Well, what are the 5 properties of a parallelogram? Well, opposite sides are congruent, opposite sides are parallel, opposite angles are congruent, diagonals bisect each other, cut each other in half, and consecutive angles or supplementary, 180 degrees. Superman. Let's take a look at this one right here. All right, so if this is a parallelogram, then this one is 20 because it's opposite sides. If it is, these are consecutive, so they add up to 180 degrees. Then you got to be able to work this. That's 64. And then you have to subtract 64 and divide by 2. Let's go ahead and finish that up. So 180 minus 64 equals, divided by 2 equals, I get 58. Make sure you know how to solve the equation and make sure you know how to set it up. We're going on to a new section here. So copy this down right here. There are ways to prove a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, and there's 5 of them. Okay, so number 1 is if you can show that opposite sides are parallel. So if you can show that these sides here are parallel, bam, it's a parallelogram. Number 2, if you can show that both pairs of opposite sides are congruent. So if this one is congruent to this one and this one is congruent to this one, then bam, it's a parallelogram. If you can show that one pair of opposite sides is both parallel and congruent, then it is a parallelogram. So one pair parallel and congruent. If you can prove that the diagonals bisect each other, so if this one is 2 and this one is 5, then yes, it would be a parallelogram. Okay? And then finally, if you can show that both pairs of opposite angles are congruent, so this one is equal to this one, and if you can show this one is equal to this one, then yes, it's a parallelogram. All right, so this is, again, ways to prove quadrilaterals. You had some definitions yesterday. Answer these 3 questions right now. An angle is formed by 2 rays. 2 rays. That's one. And there's another one, there's your angle. A circle is the same distance from a fixed point. So same distance from a fixed point. So a circle, there's a point, and if they're the same distance from here to here, that's a radius, it is a circle. Perpendicular lines are 90 degrees to each other. All right, you have a few more definitions for today that you need to know. So copy down these definitions right here. And just add them to your list. And you need to know these. And you're going to have these on your homework over the weekend. So let's take a look here. Parallel lines never intersect. They are the same distance. You can write that too. The same distance apart. Line segment is part of a line. It's not a line, but it's part of a line that has 2 endpoints. That's a line segment. A point is a location. It has no size. There's no fat point and no skinny point. It's just a location. A line is straight. It doesn't bend. There's no thickness, and it goes on in both directions. Okay? Those are the new definitions that you need to know for the EOC. All right, let's go on. Let's take a look at what we're doing today. So copy down the first diagram. And the question is this a parallelogram? Well, if you subtract from 360, since this has 4 sides, you get 27 here. And since this opposite angle is equal to that one, and this one is equal to this one, that is a parallelogram. So the answer is yes. And then I want you to write down why. Opposite angles congruent, therefore parallelogram. Let's go to the next one. Draw this one up. This one, opposite angles are not equal. So this one is no, not a parallelogram. This one right here, you got to plug your numbers in. So y is 30, so you got to plug it in. And then your y is 30, and you got to see if this one is equal to this one. Then you got to plug in your x, and you got to see if this one is equal to this one. If opposite angles are equal, then it's yes. Remember, there's 5 ways to prove a parallelogram or quadrilateral is a parallelogram, and they're right here. So make sure you go back to this list when you do your homework. Your homework today, or classwork / homework, is page 276, 1 to 26 in the workbook. So go ahead and get started on that. We're going to turn our attention to MCR class. Okay, so for this one right here, to reduce it, you have to first try to factor. We're going to assume it does factor. This is 2 times 2, and that's going to add to give you 4. So it's going to be v plus 2 twice. And then this one is going to be a plus and a minus according to the chart. If you don't know how to factor, make sure you ask questions. This one's going to be 2 and 7, because 7 minus 2 is 5. We want the negative here to go with the bigger one. And so this cancels. This is your answer. That's what we did yesterday on the worksheet, and if you need one, they're over there in the folder. You can get one before you leave. Let's talk about today's work. Copy down this one right here on a new sheet of paper. All right, when you multiply, you can reduce any top number. Write this down. Any top number with any bottom number. Okay, so here, let me think a minute. I'm trying to reduce this, so I see an n here. I'm multiplying, so I can knock out the n. Now I need to see if I can put some numbers in here. 59, I'm not sure that anything goes into 59. But the deal is you have to try to reduce it. 2 goes into here, but 2 doesn't go into there. 3, I don't think 3 goes into 59. Let me just double check it. So 59 divided by 3. All right, I don't see anything else. So you have to multiply this. So 59 times 80, which is going to be a horrendous number. I get 4720. And then 99 times 33. And I get 3267. And that's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I think 3 goes into that, but 3 I don't think goes into that. So that would be your answer there. It's kind of a messy big number. This one right here, you multiply, but you have to first try to factor. So I'm going to factor the top here. A negative and a positive, that's going to be 2 negatives. This one right here, I'm going to factor out a 10. This one right here, I can't do anything with it. This one I can factor out a 9, and I'm left with 5 minus x. All right, so look what happens. The x minus 10 cancels out. All right, let me see what else cancels out. You see the 5 minus x and the x minus 5, they're opposites. So if I put a negative right here, this would change to a negative and a positive, and that would cancel with one of those. So my final answer would be x minus 5 over 10 times negative 9, which would be negative 90. And that would be your answer. Okay? And again, right here they were opposite, so I put a negative on the outside and then I changed them and it became the same thing. All right, I'm not too sure if you understood that, but if you get stuck, I want you to ask. Here's your worksheet for today, and it will be on Canvas. Have a good morning.